So, we're getting some questions about the courses that we offer online. Could you please tell me about the Pre LTW 1 course?
Sure. The that one starts at the very beginning of level one and spends a lot of time. Sorry, spends a lot of time on the early lessons and extra weeks practicing some of the foundational skills, especially like comparison. Um, Lots and lots of times sorting. We spend, I mean, probably a month on sorting, a little bit spread out, 2 or 3 weeks at the beginning and then reviewing it later. So it finishes about the first half of the book, depending on the particular group of students and how far they're ready to go.
Mm.
So, and then, yeah, and then filling in some, maybe with some extra grammar support or talking about what a sentence is and that kind of thing.
We do. Yeah. For specifically for the online course, I know that many of my students, it's their first time being online. So we try to, have a more, we have, I understand that we need to spend time just on those technical skills. So that has to be out of necessity part of it, and understanding cooperation with the parents.
You mean by technical skill, you mean like how to submit a document,
right?
How to save it, change it, save it, resubmit.
Navigating Canvas, looking for my comments so they can make corrections. If students are in these days, I think most students take online courses at some point, if not multiple online courses. I know my children have a couple. They're in junior high and high school. So that's not the focus. I don't want to take away from what our focus is, which is actually, those more challenging tasks like thinking through sorting. Maybe it's a first exposure to an outline. I have some students who haven't worked with outlines before. So we get we have the opportunity, because we're only covering about half of the book, to study and practice those lessons in a more relaxed way, because my expectation is that we practice. That is absolutely my expectation. There's no amount of success or failure if the student is simply practicing, trying to understand, asking questions. I also find that in my class we're reading fairy tales, that literature discussion. It reinforces what we're learning in our writing, because one of the focuses for the pre-course is comparison. We want to practice comparing things and compare many things and compare different kinds of things. And once my students had about 4 or 5 fairy tales under their belts, we could compare the stories where the prince and the princess got married and lived happily ever after. Or we could take the characters that were all blinded, like what might that have meant? What kind of character was blinded? Well, that character was an evil character. So was that character. So we're practicing these questions that are going to come in handy as they get into lost tools, but we're practicing it in 2 ways, with the discussion and through the writing. I love it. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, and that pre-course is largely teaching the art of grammar, right? Which is different, because I learned grammar is, I don't know, sentence rules, maybe, might be this way to summarize what I thought grammar was.
Yeah.
But much more so, I'm learning that the art of grammar is decoding. Is that a good summary word?
Yeah.
And so they learn to decode the stories because they learn what it means when this happens or when that happens, or these things cause those things.
Yeah.
And they learn to be able to see that in fairy tales and all kinds of stories.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the slowing down of LTW writing skills and being able to focus more on the decoding, the grammar skills in our pre-course is a wonderful foundation.
Yes.
And when they enjoy playing with those skills in that setting of discussing fairy tales, I hope it creates a love of those of comparing or asking questions, contemplating, thinking, wondering, so that when they are required in Lost Tools Level 1 to go through the templates, ask themselves these questions. That sense of wonder and love will still be there. That's my hope.
Yeah. And those things feed their souls, but if they don't have the skills to do it, their souls cannot be fed that way.
Yeah. Yeah, we should talk about that.